We're outside today for two reasons mainly. One, it's a nice day and I want to get some drone shots. And number two is that I want to talk about some rookie mistakes that beginners make when first getting into filmmaking. But the only problem is I brought my drone and I forgot all of the batteries at home. So I guess we're just talking about the beginner mistakes. Alright, so it's the next day. I didn't forget the batteries this time, got some drone shots, and we can finally get started with this video. Just a quick disclaimer to start this video off. These are mistakes that basically every filmmaker makes when starting off their careers, so there's no need to feel bad about anything. I personally have done every single one of these things I'm going to talk about in this video, and I'll share some of the clips here as well. So there's no need to feel bad about anything. Everybody does this, and you only get better from here. Alright, let's start off with number one, and this is hands down, this is something people do wrong all the time when starting off, and that is filming in 30 frames or 60 frames. You pick up the camera and you think that the more frames the better, but that's actually not how it works. You want to be filming in 24 frames a second. That is considered to be the most cinematic frame rate, and that is a frame rate you want to be filming in. I know when you're gaming or something you think the more frames the better, but when you're talking about cinematic look, it's always 24 frames a second. It's considered to be the most cinematic, and that's what everybody uses basically for real-time footage like this. The only time you wouldn't film in 24 would be when you're actually planning on slowing that footage down later on to 24 frames a second. Then you can use something like 60 or 120. But other than that, when you're shooting real-time footage, you should always film in 24 frames a second. Alright, this next one is kind of funny because I've done this way too many times early on in my career, and that is filming in too high of an ISO. And I would do this because I would just stick my camera in manual because I heard that's what professional filmmakers do, which is true by the way, but I didn't take the time to learn how to use manual settings. So sometimes in broad daylight I would be filming at f22, shutter speed of 1/8000, and an ISO of 200,000 or something like that. And it was really just no good. The footage looked like absolute trash. So I would really recommend you take some time out and learn how manual settings work. I recommend looking into the exposure triangle, which is aperture, ISO, and shutter speed. Just basically understand how those three elements of your camera work, and you're basically good for any situation. Next up, we're talking about music, and this is also one of those things that people do wrong all the time. They just kind of find a track online and throw it in their projects. And I always say this, that no song is better than a bad song. So if you really can't find the right song for your project, just sit back and think, does your project even need a song? So I always recommend that take a step back and think twice before putting any kind of music in your projects, because it can really take a lot away from the project before it adds anything in. So just keep that in mind. Alright, so next up we're talking about white balance, and this is something I see people do wrong all the time. And I kind of get it because, cameras are mostly pretty good when it comes to auto white balance. But when you're doing a professional paid gig, you really don't want your color shifting around too much. So once you have that white balance, you really want to lock it down and set it to manual. That's going to help you out a whole lot. Alright, so last but definitely not least, we're talking about shaky footage. And I know not everybody has access to a gimbal or a Steadicam, but I can almost guarantee it, you can find some sort of DIY way of making your footage more stable. Basically, all you need to do is go online and find some sort of inexpensive way of stabilizing your footage, and there are hundreds of them out there. I know it's not going to be as good as a gimbal, but it's going to be a lot better than just handheld shaky footage. Alright, so it's getting kind of chilly over here, so I'm going to wrap this video up. That was 5 things that I see beginner filmmakers do wrong all the time. I really hope you got a little something out of this video. If you did, don't forget to leave it a like, subscribe for more videos like this, and hit the notification bell so you always get notified with any of my new videos, and I'll see you guys next time.